Sometime tonight, you're probably going to flip a light switch, and you won't think twice about it. But that one simple flick of a switch, it creates a massive gulf between you and literally 99.9% of all human history. So let's explore that lost world, because what our ancestors saw and did every single night is something we can barely even picture anymore.
So take a look at this. On one side, that's our night, right? Flooded with light. But on the other, that's the night for pretty much every human who ever lived before the last few generations. When that sun went down, their entire world just vanished into a darkness so total, so profound, you literally could not see your own hand in front of your face. And we're not talking about some distant, dusty past. This is most of human history. For over 300,000 years, every single one of our ancestors spent about half their life in that complete and total darkness, with nothing but the moon, the stars, and maybe a small, precious fire for light.
So you've got to wonder, right? What on earth did they do with all that time? All those hours in the dark? Well, the answer is going to completely change how you think about everything, from sleep to stories to what it even means to be human.
And it all kicks off with fire. You see, fire wasn't just about getting warm or cooking food, it was the technology. It was the invention that totally rewired the human day. And in doing that, it accidentally created the space for human culture to be born.
I mean, think about it. Before fire, the math was brutal. Night equals danger, period. Our eyes are pretty useless in the dark, but for predators like leopards or hyenas, their night is just getting started. So you'd crawl into a cave and just hope you saw the sunrise. But then, fire changes everything. Suddenly, you have this 30-foot circle of safety, this little bubble of light and warmth that predators wouldn't dare enter. All at once, night went from a time of pure terror to a time of community.
And fire didn't just give us safety. It gave us the gift of time. The day didn't just end when the sun went down anymore. Humanity was handed 2, 3, maybe 4 extra hours every single night. And over thousands and thousands of generations, those extra hours, they would literally remake our species. So what did we do with all this newfound time? Well, an anthropologist named Polly Weisner gave us a huge clue. She recorded conversations among modern hunter-gatherers, and she found this unbelievable pattern. During the day, about 80% of the talk was totally practical. You know, where's the water? Let's fix this tool. But at night, around the fire, the conversation completely flips. A whopping 81% of it becomes storytelling. And this is the absolute key. This wasn't just entertainment, not just telling ghost stories. The campfire was the engine of culture. It's where we told our myths, passed down our history, where we used jokes to build bonds. It's where we first learned to imagine worlds that weren't right in front of us. It's where we became us.
But stories weren't the only thing happening in the ancestral night. Something else was going on. Something that happened after the fire burned down to embers. Something science has only just rediscovered. And get this, it turns out you were not designed to sleep the way you do now.
It's a phenomenon called biphasic sleep. A historian named Roger Akirch stumbled upon over 500 references to it in old diaries, court records, letters, all over the place. For thousands of years, it seems like everyone on Earth slept in 2 separate chunks, what they called a first sleep and a second sleep. And the rhythm was pretty much the same everywhere. People would go to bed not long after sunset, sleep for about 4 hours, and then they'd wake up. For 1 or 2 hours, they'd be awake in this quiet period they called the watch. Then they'd go back to sleep for another 4 hours or so until dawn. And this wasn't insomnia. This was just normal. And this watch was actually a really valuable, productive time. People would just lie in the dark and think or meditate on their dreams. Sometimes they'd get up and visit neighbors. A 16th century doctor even recommended this quiet window as the absolute best time for couples to conceive. It was this unique period of incredible calm.
For centuries, historians just kind of wrote these references off as weird little quirks. But then, in the 1990s, science proved it was all real. A psychiatrist named Thomas Weir ran an experiment where he basically took a group of people and deprived them of all artificial light.
And here's the wild part. Within a few weeks, without any instructions, every single person in the study spontaneously reverted back to that ancient 2-sleep pattern. And what's more, when they measured their hormones, they found they weren't just awake, they were in a unique, deeply meditative state, full of prolactin, a hormone tied to feelings of peace and serenity. It's literally a state of mind that most of us have never ever experienced. So if this was so universal, so deeply baked into our biology, what happened to it? How did we all lose it? Well, the answer is brutally simple. We conquered the night. We flooded it with light.
And this timeline just shows how shockingly fast it all happened. I mean, it starts slow, a few street lamps in the 1600s, it speeds up with gas lighting in the 1800s, and then, bam, Edison commercializes the light bulb in 1879, and it's pretty much game over for darkness.
If you really want to get a sense of how different their mindset was, just look at the word curfew. It comes from the old French couvre-feu, which means cover the fire. A bell would actually ring to tell everyone, okay, put out your lights, it's time to surrender to the night. For most of history, darkness wasn't something to be defeated, it was something to be accepted.
And in the space of a single generation after that light bulb, the fundamental rhythm of human life, a rhythm that had defined our species for 300,000 years, it just vanished, gone.
But it didn't vanish completely. Because that ancient programming, that old rhythm, it's still in there. It's buried deep in our biology. And sometimes, if we're quiet, we can still hear its echo.
So what's the price we pay for all this light? Well, for one, it crushes our production of melatonin, the sleep hormone. Your brain sees the blue light from your phone at 11 p.m. and thinks it's the middle of the afternoon. It throws our natural rhythms totally out of whack, and it completely eliminated that peaceful, reflective state of mind that used to exist between our two sleeps.
But here's the proof that it's still in us. Researchers found that after just 1 week of camping, with nothing but the sun and a campfire for light, people's internal clocks completely reset. Their bodies started making melatonin right at sunset again, exactly like they're supposed to. It's still in there, just waiting.
And that brings us to a really personal question. That incredibly common feeling. You know the one, waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, totally frustrated. What if we've been thinking about that all wrong? What if it's not a disorder?
What if that moment of wakefulness isn't a glitch in the system? What if it's an echo of the watch, a faint memory of an ancient, natural rhythm trying to resurface in a world that's completely forgotten it even existed?
In the end, we made a trade. No doubt about it. We gained incredible productivity, we gained safety, we gained control over the dark, but we lost the fireside stories that built our cultures. We lost a whole state of quiet, reflective consciousness. We lost a connection to a rhythm that defined our species for almost its entire existence. We traded it all for a light switch, and most of us never even knew what we'd lost.